Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll have a look at the latest from the weather warnings from the Met Office. Then we'll go through the short range forecast looking at wind gusts and precipitation, as we do have a named storm coming up with Storm Barra on Tuesday. And then we'll have a look at the longer term forecast with the GFS, the GEM, the ECMWF and the GFS Ensembles. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, over the last few days, we have been looking at the potential for a significant storm on Tuesday, and that is now going to be happening with Storm Barra, which has now been officially named by Met Aaron earlier today at about 1 o'clock. Now it's going to be a deep area of low pressure moving in from the Atlantic on Tuesday, and the most severe impacts are likely to be across the Republic of Ireland. And I know there are people in the Republic of Ireland watching this, so this is likely to be a more severe storm for Ireland, especially in the southern half of the country towards the south coast. But even in England, Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland, we're still likely to be seeing some severe effects from it, including some heavy snow along with some very strong winds as well. The system will move in from the west. Strongest winds and impacts are expected to affect the Republic of Ireland, of course. As the system begins to weaken, it will bring strong winds and rain, with the rain turning to snow across northern England and Scotland. And there are a range of yellow warnings, which we'll look at in a minute. Frank Saunders is a chief meteorologist at the Met Office, and he said strong winds will be arriving across the west during Tuesday morning, will spread inland and reach eastern areas through the afternoon and early evening. Gusts of 45 to 50 miles per hour are expected widely, 60 to 70 miles per hour in exposed coastal locations as well. Probably will be stronger than that across Ireland. That is for the UK bar, because it's issued by the Met Office there. So yeah, could be some very severe effects from this, not only the wind and rain, but also this snow, and the exact snow line, i.e. how elevated you need to be to see the snow in the north, is not yet decided exactly. It's likely to be over the hills and the highest peaks of the mountains. However, we could be seeing some surprise snowfalls to even low-lying areas as well. So if we do have a look at the weather warnings, you can see there are widespread yellow warnings for Tuesday now. Pretty much the whole of the United Kingdom is covered in a wind warning, apart from some areas in northern and western Scotland. Not likely to be seeing the brunt of the storm. Of course, they saw the brunt of Storm Arwen a week or two ago. So luckily, there's not going to be as strong winds there, but some of the areas that are still without power, as if you've seen BBC News today, for example, they did a piece about there are still around a few thousand people without power in parts of Scotland and Northern England. So it doesn't look good for getting the restoration of power, as we do have potentially some more heavy snow and some strong winds. Not likely to be anywhere near as strong as Storm Arwen in terms of gusts, as we saw gusts 90, 100 miles per hour in these regions, whereas it's likely to be maybe 50 or 60 miles per hour. But still, with trees having taken a hit, a lot of power lines potentially not as strong as they were a few weeks ago, we could still see some severe impacts. But yeah, we have a widespread yellow warning and a snow warning as well. If we have a look at the yellow warnings from 9 a.m. on Tuesday until midnight, strong winds are expected to affect much of the UK on Tuesday, with potential travel disruption in places. If we have a look at the further details, you can see a deep area of low pressure moving in. Of course, that's Storm Barra. Gusts of 45 to 50 miles per hour expected widely, with 60 to 70 miles per hour in exposed coasts. Strongest winds will ease across inland areas into the overnight period. Now, the most severe impacts from this will be during the day, which is going to be a bit of an issue. We could be seeing some of the strongest winds around 4, 5, 6 p.m, so during rush hour across central areas. So it could provide more impacts than if this was overnight, for example, where there's not as many people on the roads. So yeah, it could be, even though it's just yellow warnings at this stage, there could still be some severe impacts. And given it's a widespread yellow warning, I do suspect at this stage it could be slightly altered over the next day or two, potentially an amber warning put in force in the west as well, because of course normally when we have a few days out from a system like this, the Met Office rightly put out like a blanket yellow warning, because the exact details aren't known as of this stage, so because it's still 2 days away, of course. So I do suspect this will change slightly, and we could even be seeing an amber warning put in force in the west as well. If we have a look at the snow warning, heavy snow is expected across northern England and Scotland, bringing likely travel disruption, especially over high routes, and of course during the day as well. So it could be even more disruption than if it was overnight. Same with the wind. So from 11 a.m. until midnight on Tuesday, 2 to 5 centimetres is expected to accumulate quite widely across the area, but locally could reach 10 centimetres. And of course, some of these places already have a few inches of snow on the ground from previous snowfalls we've had recently. So we could be seeing a scenario where some areas are absolutely buried in snow. Again, over the highest ground, but you can even see Glasgow's in this warning zone, Stirling, and even some lower lying areas. And remember, this is not exclusive. Snow could fall to low levels, but it just might not be as disruptive because the freezing level is likely to be a few hundred metres at this stage, but it still can change. Now, if we do have a look at the UK Met Office run, having a look at what's showing for precipitation, wind, and we'll have a look at temperatures as well. Now, you can see over the course of the afternoon we had a few showers in the east, drizzly, light rain, especially further inland. Directly on the coast could be a bit of heavier rain today, but nothing too substantial, of course. Been a pretty dry day, but pretty chilly with temperatures in the mid-single digits. Overnight tonight, we're going to see another weather front push in. Now, this is not Storm Barra. This is a weather front ahead of it, and you can see it turns to heavy snow across Scotland for a time. Maybe some snow across parts of northern England, and heavier rain does spread through tomorrow morning around rush hour through many parts of northern England, the Midlands, and central southern England. Beyond that, we see a few wintry showers around, potentially even to low-lying areas for a time, most likely across northwest England, parts of Scotland, and parts of Northern Ireland as well. Beyond that, through early hours of Tuesday, you can see things start to sort of diminish. We see a few wintry showers in the north, but that's ahead of the big storm Barra moving in. Could turn to snow for a period of time across parts of Republic Island and Northern Ireland, but before turning back to rain. And it's on its leading edge on this latest Met Office run. You can see quite widespread snowfall across many parts of Scotland, Northern England as well. Even to low-lying areas, or lower-lying areas, maybe only 50 to 100 metres of elevation could be enough to get some snow initially on Tuesday. But of course, there is a milder wedge of air within this, so it's likely to turn to rain once again to areas not on the highest of ground. That rain will move through around sort of 3 p.m, so heading into rush hour potentially for the east. And then beyond that, we see the strongest winds move through around the centre of this low, and heavy showers and potentially more snow across northern Scotland as well, and maybe some snow once again as the occluded front does move through. Continue with showers through end of Tuesday into Wednesday before another weather front arrives for Thursday, but it's likely to be a lot weaker. Now, if we do have a look at the wind gusts. Now, of course, Met Office warning is saying 60 to 70 miles per hour across England and Wales, as we see here. Nothing too major at the moment, as the weather front does move through. If we just get this up to update for a second, doesn't look like it's updating. Running a bit slow, unfortunately. But as you can see, through early hours of Monday, some stronger gusts coming in with the weather front tomorrow, but nothing too crazy, maybe 30, 40 miles per hour at most towards the coast. And then early hours of Tuesday, you can see Storm Barra heading in. On this latest UK Met Office run, we're looking at potentially 70, 80, maybe even 90 to 100 miles per hour gusts along the south coast of Ireland. Now, we're not seeing it in the Met Office warnings, that only covers United Kingdom. So if you are in Ireland, there could be still some very severe impacts from this 100 mile per hour gusts, and make sure you check up with your local weather services for relevant warnings. Strong winds also does start to impact Northern Ireland, parts of southwest England, parts of Wales, and parts of northwest England. You can see 70 miles per hour sort of surrounding Ireland as the centre of them moves through. You can see the light winds to the centre and huge big gusts, even along the east coast of England and Scotland as well, because he's seeing 50, 60 miles per hour, and could be a severe and dangerous storm for Ireland this. So really do make sure you check up with your weather services and your local authorities as well, because I'm sure precautions are being taken for this storm. Strongest winds for parts of Wales for early hours of Wednesday could be towards Bristol, down parts of Cardiff, down parts of southern and western parts of Wales. Could be some very, very strong winds there. Again, this is one run, so it's not guaranteed to come off like this, but on this latest UKMO Office run, this is what we're starting to see potentially. Winds do start to die down, but still reasonably quite strong through Wednesday. But of course, the storm is filling in by this time, so it should slowly diminish, and by sort of Thursday, winds are much reduced. Now, if we do have a look at temperatures, we'll run through this quite swiftly, as I don't want to make this video too long. Temperatures today, again, as I said, in mid-single digits across Scotland, though, pretty chilly, around -3, -4 degrees over some hills. Early hours of Monday could be widespread temperatures getting down to maybe 1 or 2 degrees, maybe a frost, especially in central areas and parts of Scotland. Monday, it's going to be, again, quite a chilly day for many, only around sort of 5, 6, 7 degrees, maybe in the far south, even colder further north. We're going to see that weather front push in, and it could turn to snow, of course, across northern England and Scotland as well. Early hours of Tuesday could be seeing a frost develop quite widely before Storm Barra arrives. See, widely, by sunrise, it's freezing across much of the British Isles. And as Storm Barra moves in, you can see the milder wedge of air, which is turning that potentially winteriness to rain to lower levels. You can see over the highest ground, maybe 1 or 2 degrees, and even parts across North Midlands into northern England to low-lying areas, it's still 2, 3, 4 degrees. So we could still be seeing maybe some wintry mix within that. Beyond that, that milder wedge does move through many parts of southern England, so it would be 5, 6 degrees through Wednesday afternoon, but still pretty chilly elsewhere. And you can see, even though we do see milder air pushing for a time, temperatures back down to maybe only 3, 4 degrees overnight, and in the day, only 5 or 6 degrees, so still quite chilly. And overnight Friday, we could be seeing another frost develop once again. Now, if we do have a look at the ARPEGE run, if we do have a look at precipitation first, you can see, if we do run through to Storm Barra, so you can see as we get to Tuesday, as the weather front does approach through early hours of Tuesday, we're seeing initially some snow potentially across Northern Ireland and maybe parts of northern Wales before turning to snow across parts of northern England, parts of Scotland as well, quite widespread snow as well, again over higher ground, but pretty widespread indeed, for heavy rain does spread through. A lot of precipitation with this on the ARPEGE. Could be quite a severe storm, of course, with rainfall totals as well. If we do have a look at wind gusts as well, if we do head to early hours of Tuesday, you can see potentially 60, 70 miles per hour at sort of sunrise across parts of Ireland, and really only getting up to maybe 80 miles per hour for southern Ireland. So not quite as strong as the UK Met Office run. Widely inland, 40, 50 miles per hour, maybe 60, 70 miles per hour towards the coast as well. Maybe 70 to 80 miles per hour across Ireland as well. And eventually, those winds do start to die down through early hours of Wednesday. But you can still see across southern Ireland, down into southwest England and southern parts of Wales, still very, very strong winds to come for some. So, got to keep an eye on what's happening with that. We could see some sustained winds for a good 24-hour period. Because I see sustained wind gusts of around 50, 60 plus miles per hour for a 24-hour period across southern Ireland and parts of southwest England and Wales. So we could be seeing an amber warning put in force there for Wales and southwest. But we'll have to see what happens tomorrow with when the Met Office will update the warnings. Now, if we do have a look at the icon run, see how that does compare to the other runs, you can see heavy snow potentially for some tomorrow afternoon, especially over the hills. And then we see Storm Barra move in. Potentially heavy snow across parts of northern parts of Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland as well for a time, for readily turning to snow over the highest ground of Scotland, parts of Ireland as well, parts of Northern England, for the heavy rain does push through. And we continue seeing a lot of showery bands move through before Thursday evening things start to die down. Now, if we have a look at wind gusts, now you can see, as we head through early hours of Tuesday, those strong wind gusts arrive, 60, 70, maybe 80 or 90 miles per hour across southern parts of Ireland. And then those strong winds spread through Tuesday afternoon. And once again, we're seeing extremely strong gusts across many parts of southern Ireland, into parts of Wales and the southwest, all the way to early hours of Wednesday. Could be really strong there. And by Wednesday evening, the low is filling in. So those stronger winds will start to die away. So could be quite a long-lasting storm in terms of its wind strength, and a lot of heavy rain and some heavy snow as well. So this could really be a pretty dangerous storm for many areas, with many risks, as I said, with the rain, snow, and wind. Now, if we do briefly go through the GFS, GM, and the ECMWF before we finish up with the GFS Ensembles, you can see at the moment we have low pressure moving in over the next day, and you can see Storm Barra really spinning up just to the south of this mother low, sitting towards Iceland. Really does spin up towards the UK, and if we do go into the United Kingdom, look, you can see getting down to sort of 956 millibars, extremely strong storm, and then early hours of Wednesday does fill in, and those winds will slowly die away. If we do have a look at the upper air temperatures, you can see pretty cold air is left behind, so it could be still pretty chilly beyond that, and we could be seeing some surprise snowfalls, or at least some surprise falling snow for a time. Beyond that, though, things turn more westerly, seeing more heavy rain pushing in with more low pressure systems, and generally quite a westerly outlook. Beyond day 10, high pressure starts to build up from the south, trying to get towards Scandinavia, and right towards the end of the run, it's a bit of a mixed signal. Scandinavian high trying to get going, but getting pushed away by the stratospheric polar vortex, and westerly winds trying to still push in. You can see quite a cold air mass to our east trying to push in, but a milder air mass from the west. So a bit of a battleground scenario there, but once again, it's not too reliable beyond day 10. Now, if we have a look at the GMs, see that it does compare. Only update out to 180 hours, so we'll only be able to see it out to that far. You can see at the United Kingdom, look, very deep area of low pressure with Storm Barra getting down to sort of 958 millibars. So, yeah, very deep area of low pressure going to be moving through, and then some chillier air pushes in before we see more westerly winds push in right towards the end of the run, looking mainly westerly, potentially stormy as well. Can't distinctly say if there will be more named storms, but definitely looks like there will be some more deep areas of low pressure with more heavy rain and strong winds, and potentially some more snow. Now, if we finally finish up with the ECMWF, see how it does compare, you can see again, Storm Barra moving through Tuesday into Wednesday, severe low pressure system eventually fills in, and we just stay with a westerly flow. Could be more periods of stormy weather within that. Again, all depends on how these low pressure systems do spin up, of course. There can be big changes only across a couple days, really, if we do see these low pressure systems spin up. So we'll have to keep an eye really what happens over the next few weeks, but we could be seeing potentially some more named storms. Now, if we finish up, we'll have a look at the GFS Ensembles. You can see it's pretty chilly over the next week or so, with temperatures below average, but not enough below average, really, to see anything too wintry. You can see at times the upper air temperatures get down to sort of -4, -5 degrees, 850 HPA, but not really coinciding with any major precipitation. Could be a few wintry showers around, maybe. Beyond that, towards sort of 10th, 11th, 12th of December, we start to see a rise in temperatures, back to around average, hovering around average, with westerly winds alternating between milder and cooler sectors, with precipitation returning. Does look like it'll be pretty wet, but we're going to be seeing some dry conditions at times, but there still could be, there's still probably going to be a risk of showers most days over the next week. But of course, some areas will miss out on those showers and will have a pretty dry day. But it will be, very hit and miss where those showers do occur. Because of course, in a showery air mass with a low pressure, we could be seeing a lot of showers pop up over the course of the next sort of 5 to 7 days. If we do have a look at new snow depth, just have a look if we're seeing anything. You can see London, maybe a few snow spikes here and there on a few of the ensemble members that have some of the colder air digging in, but nothing too major, of course, because that colder air mass is exclusively further northwards, and that snow line is likely to be a few hundred metres. If we look at Glasgow, though, where we do have a snow warning for Tuesday, you can see quite a few ensemble members showing some snow. Again, it's going to be hit and miss. It's going to be marginal, but if we do see snow, it could be significant. We could be seeing some surprises on Tuesday, and it will be a nowcast scenario, really, to see how low that snow level, that freezing level, will come to see potentially snow. If you do have a look at the upper air temperatures, 850 HPA and precipitation, you can see over the course of Storm Barra over the next few days, that air mass is going to be down to -5, 850 HPA. So it's going to be cold enough, potentially, for snow on some of these colder scenarios. Of course, you can see some milder ensemble runs still cropping up, and some bitterly cold ensemble member runs. Because, of course, it's not exactly resolved, there are still subtle shifts that we could see because there is still that quite cold air mass just to our east. So it will, as I said, be a nowcast scenario exactly where the snow does fall, but there is an increased risk to low-lying areas across the north in northern England and Scotland. But at the moment, only guarantees really are a few hundred metres over the hills and mountains. Beyond that, very similar to London, we do see a rise in temperatures around the 11th to 12th December, but stays around or below average around the 14th to 15th December as we have polar maritime air masses moving through, and generally it's around or just a touch above average beyond that. But it's looking very, very unsettled. Will be more snow over the hills, of course, as we do have a westerly flow with pretty chilly air masses. It's not going to be massive milder sectors. It doesn't look like there's going to be any massive mild sectors through it at this stage, but it's looking really quite unsettled. And of course, with Storm Barra coming up in the next few days, it's very stormy indeed. So make sure you do stay tuned to my videos. Make sure you do stay tuned to the weather warnings issued by the Met Office. I'm sure they will be updated over the next couple of days. If you are in Ireland, make sure you do check up with Met Éireann and your local weather services, because it does look like the most severe impacts will be across parts of the Republic of Ireland. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.